the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
It's Tim Albright with AVNation with an AVNation special, talking with our friends at Legrand AV about something that I just learned about not too long ago. 21.9 Ultrawide is a new resolution. It's an evolving resolution that's coming into the AV space, primarily in the conferencing world, but there are other uses as well. So we're going to find out more about 21.9, about Ultrawide from Legrand AV. First and foremost, Mr. Brian Retzlaff. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Tim. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. John Robson, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having us. Nice to meet you, Tim.
Absolutely. Nice to meet you. And we have two Brians, so I'm not quite sure how to do this, but we'll figure it out. Brian Schwartz, also from Legrand AV. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, Brian Retzlaff, Brian R., let's start with this. First and foremost, and I am not kidding you, I believe it was ISE back in May. Walking around, and I walk into this stand in Barcelona, and this young man is like, 21.9 is the latest greatest thing. Microsoft is doing the thing with the teams, and it's a trade show, right? So I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. I wasn't sure if it was just all hype. And sure as heck, over the last couple of months, I've learned an awful lot, and there are certainly reasons for it. But first and foremost, what is the deal? What is the deal with 21.9 in general?
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. So 21.9 is, of course, an ultra-wide format resolution screen. It could be a flat panel display. It could be a projection screen. But the deal is, as you mentioned, Microsoft is pushing this as a part of their Teams platform. The idea is to get you more horizontal real estate so that you can have pictures of the participants, so the participants can be seen, and also a really nice area in the middle for the content. So much of what we do in conferences is about that content, right? So there's plenty of screen real estate for that, and then there's leftover screen real estate where we can have the chat running all at the same time and additional content, all on this nice wide format. So it really is being driven by Microsoft Teams at this point, but it is something that we're looking at more so because we also had 21.9 in our Infocom trade show booth, and our CEO, or the president of our division anyway, saw all of the excitement around that big 21.9 screen and came back afterwards and said, there's a lot of excitement here. This is a big deal. We just really need to get talking to folks about it.
There's some practical applications on top of that as well. Just, the whole fact that we have a hybrid workforce. A lot of this has to do with how do we bring people back into the offices again. So it's kind of like saying, well, you can see the movie at home on your TV, but you can come in and kind of get an IMAX experience in the office, sort of. On top of that, there's also that cinematic quality to the 21.9. When people come in and they're doing more conferencing than ever before, there's obviously audio and video fatigue. So if you can create a better experience, you're going to have people hanging in there longer. They look like they are all participating. It's that meeting equity that is spoken of. So it addresses some of those areas very significantly. And until you're in that conference room by a 21.9 screen, you can't. It's a big difference. And then, on top of that, typically they are looking for real estate. So typically it's always been the two screens side by side, but you have that bezel in the middle, and you're kind of jumping around like this to look at content and look at somebody talking. That totally eliminates all that. So it's being very, very, very well received because of all of those things.
Brian Schwartz, really quickly, when you look at the ultra wide, you look at 21.9, what do customers need to know going in as they start considering it as either a replacement to what they currently have, or if they're building a new space, considering it as opposed to what could be considered a traditional conferencing setup?
Yeah, and specifically, I'm here to represent projection screens because I'm a product manager with Daylight brand. But really, this is a perfect place for projection because the bigger you can make that image in that wide format, even in smaller rooms, the more immersive it feels. And it really lets those virtual participants, it makes the people in the room feel like those virtual participants are part of your meeting. We're on a smaller display, even their little images, you'll kind of forget they're there. So the bigger you can make that image, you can really take advantage of that wide format to really make the in-person and the virtual participants feel like they're all part of the same meeting.
Retzlaff, John mentioned the hybrid workforce, and that is certainly part of this move. How is this going to impact that force, though? Because it's we're not talking about home theaters, right, or home offices here. This is primarily, driving into the corporate environment, the corporate boardroom, or the corporate, conference room. How is this going to impact the hybrid worker then?
Well, there's going to be a couple things to really consider. Number one is it's going to bring the people who are at home into the meeting, that meeting equity that we are all striving for, where it doesn't matter where you're attending the meeting, you're equally engaged in that meeting. And that is part of what 21.9 is gonna help us do with some of these improvements that are happening to our software platforms. It really puts that person who's remote right there. The other thing to keep in mind, Tim, is that there is a home element to this. So many of my kids in particular, I'm sure all of us who have kids or teenagers realize they have a gaming monitor. Guess what that aspect ratio is? It's probably that ultra-wide format aspect ratio right now. And that's what a lot of gaming monitors are running toward. Well, since we're doing it in gaming, we can do that in our home office too, and make our home office have that nice wide real estate that we can just work on. I mean, we've tried stacking those two monitors side by side, but get rid of that bezel in the middle, and that monitor is so much easier to use, one big wide monitor. So it is, primarily going to be seen in those big corporate, deployments, but there is some home element to it. So I think we need to kind of keep our eyes and ears open for that part of it too.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that end-to-end experience between the remote worker and the person in the office will or should be ubiquitous overall. We will see both at home and in the office, and we're in those early days, and those are the kind of things right now that are actually being developed for that home office experience. Now, one might say, well, that's going to make them want to stay home even more, but that's not necessarily true, because yes, my experience is more immersive at home here, but I'm still not collaborating in a room with my coworkers. And if I can go into that room and it's a great experience, and I'm with my coworkers, that collaboration's even better. And of course, with that hybrid, people are looking at, I think the norm is going to become, hey, come in for 2 days or 3 days a week or as needed. I think that'll still be there, but that collaborative workforce in a better environment is going to be the drawback.
And John, one thing that we even just experienced at our meeting in our corporate facility up in Minneapolis was, we had this big meeting with lots of managers involved, and about half of the people involved were remote, and we were using some legacy style, high definition displays in that large room that we were meeting in, and quite honestly, those remote participants, they felt like they were disconnected from the meeting that was happening here. And while 21.9 all by itself isn't going to bring them more, the combination of the widescreen and the software changes that we're going to see are going to make them more front and center. And that's part of the reason I think Microsoft's calling it front row. They're going to be right there in the meeting with us. And I think that that's really going to affect the hybrid worker more than you might imagine. We're not going to be able to multitask as much from home when we know that we're right there and everybody is watching what we're doing with our head framed right there for everybody to see.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Exactly. All right, Mr. Schwartz, obviously, none of us at home are going to be, gearing up to go front row, but I get it. It's going to make us all more immersive. Beyond some of the things that Retzlaff and John have talked about, what are some of the other benefits of kind of migrating toward this ultra-wide 21.9 resolution?
Sure. Really, it gives you the opportunity to really refresh these rooms, or even if you're doing some new construction, and getting a new, larger, more immersive display in there, and upgrading that room to newer HD projection screen materials, our HD Progressive line of tension screens or fixed frame screens. You can really get a nice crisp image quality in there. We even offer some ALR surfaces if you've got a lot of ambient light in the room. So a lot of new things have come along in the past few years, and this is a great opportunity to get back in there and get the latest and greatest and make sure that everybody can see every pixel on that screen. Especially when you're getting these larger sizes and wider formats, you want to make sure you're not distorting any of those pixels. You've got a nice bright image, and everybody can really take in what's going on and see all the details of your presentation.
All right, very good. Guys, as we wrap this up here, and this is kind of for each of you, but Brian Retzlaff, we'll start with you on this. What's Legrand doing, and how is Legrand supporting the move to this new ultra-wide?
From my standpoint, I'm working with our marketing teams to help get information into the hands of our customers and our end users. We're really focused in on trying to get the right details and the imagery and things like that, so that as you're making plans to change your conference rooms, we have some resources on our website that can really point you toward what you're looking for and give you some concepts, some ideas as to what Legrand brings to the table. But from my viewpoint, it really is all about, getting the mindset there and getting the information out to folks.
I work a lot with the enterprise accounts, particularly in the West Coast. There's clearly a desire there to create a much better experience in their new campuses or their refreshes. A lot of the architecture now is floor-to-ceiling glass, so you've run out of real estate in terms of your wall space. So with products like ours, like Sightline, where there's no black drop, you're suspending these large screens over this glass and allowing for a wonderful conferencing experience or meeting experience in these rooms without it being disruptive of the aesthetics of the room. So the Sightline in particular really enhances the 21.9 experience out there. And as I can tell right now, there's a few of these companies that have already spec'd in the whole 21.9 full bore because they see that as pivotal in getting that experience in the office better.
And I would just add in that from my side, we've really worked quickly to add standard SKUs set up for 21:9 format sizes in our highest running electric and fixed frame screen, just to make it easier for everybody to go right in there, pick the size they need, and even reminding everyone that Daylight has always done custom sizes in between or special formats. That's really part of our philosophy, is being able to tailor that for you. So if you're not finding the exact size you need or you want it in a different product, hey, really reminding everybody that we can give you this format in any product we offer. We can customize that for you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Brian Schwartz, John Robson, and Brian Retzlaff from Legrand AV. Thank you all so much. Brian Retzlaff, if somebody wants to find out more about what Legrand AV is doing with the Ultrawide, how do they find that out?
Perfect. So on the legrandav.com website, you'll want to navigate to our resources and applications, and there's a section we call Ultrawide. And so we have a whole landing page there where you'll be able to see all of that imagery I discussed, but you'll have to get through it by navigating through our website.
Yeah, and Tim, if I can just add to that, you can also put 21.9 in there with our brands. There are Chief solutions for mounts. If you put 21.9 Chief, if you do 21.9 Middle Atlantic, we have our furnishing solutions, which is the arc tables, credenzas, and so forth for ADA compliance. So there's a lot of solutions we've been working on that are now available and more to come.
All right, very good. And we'll have Mitchell put the link to that on this episode's page as well. So, guys, thank you so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Find more programs like this and a host of others. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.